Welcome into Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we have a pivotal Week 5 matchup up in Lumen Field for your matchup against the Seattle Seahawks hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seahawks need to come away with a victory here in this one. Battle of two teams right now sitting at 3-1 in the record books. We're going to dive into all of this, the injuries, preview, and predict the score. But before we do that, your Seattle Seahawks have won 3 games in a row. Don't be the reason why the Seahawks lose a game. Give that like button a nice smash. Get that thumbs up going. Don't be the person who jinxes it. All right, I know it's early on in the season, but I think you are going to see a matchup on Sunday of two teams that will be playing in the postseason. It's going to be an electric atmosphere in Lumen Field, and that's not just because the Mariners are also going to have their playoff game going on at the same time. You're going to have two marquee teams in the NFC that will be battling for playoff spots, potentially in the wild card. But more than likely, I think this might even be a preview of a wild card matchup. Before we dive into any of the matchups that I want to watch, I want to talk about the doctor's visit. We need to go check out the doctor, see what's going on with the injury reports for both teams. Of course, I always start with the good guys. We got to talk about DeMarcus Lawrence injury first. Now, he did end up leaving the game where your Seattle Seahawks beat the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. If he's unable to go in this one, it is going to be a big loss. Now, when you look at Lawrence's 2025 stats, I don't want to say that they are pedestrian, but they are not. He is not playing as well as his stats say. I want that to be clear. He is playing much better than what those stats. 12 tackles from an edge rusher going into Week 5 isn't a great amount of tackles, but what you don't realize with DeMarcus Lawrence is most of the time he's setting the edge. He is turning running backs back into the inside for Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, or for Ernest Jones and the rest of that linebacking crew to come in and get tackles. He doesn't have a sack yet on the year, but what Lawrence is doing a good job of is still getting a high pressure rate, and he's winning a lot of his pass rush one-on-ones. Now, my take is going to be, though, if you lose Lawrence, that sucks. Obviously, anytime you lose a starter, that's not going to be great for your ball club. But I do think that if you are going to lose one of your starters, that edge rusher position is one of the deeper spots in this organization. Boye Mafe has been playing at an incredibly high rate. You've also seen the reemergence of Uchenna Nwosu, so there's some movement there. Derek Hall is getting a high rate of pressures. At one point, he was tied with Micah Parsons as one of the top guys in the NFL when it came to quarterback pressures. So if you do lose Lawrence, that is a loss, but I don't think it is a crippling loss for you, especially in a little bit when we get into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers injury issues. They got a couple that might be really crucial. Now, I do want to dive into the other big injury news from this game, and that's Nick Emmanwori, because I think that he's going to be back. Right now, as we're filming this on a Tuesday, Nick Emmanwori looks to be on track to be ready to go. Obviously, head coach Mike McDonald did say that you are going to need Emmanwori to practice throughout the week if he was going to be ready to play in his first game back from missing time. It does sound like he is in a good spot to be ready to go. He was out on Monday running around practicing with the team, albeit a lighter practice. Now, when you look right now at the depth chart, in the safety position, obviously he's not going to be a starter for you. You've got Kobe Bryant and Julian Love. That's not where he's going to be. I want to specifically look in the cornerback room and at that nickel spot, because that is the position that he has mainly been playing when he's been in. He's been a big nickel for you. Now, while he has missed time, Darian Kendrick has really stood on his head. He has 2 interceptions so far on the year. Darian Kendrick has really put himself in a position where he might be your main nickel going forward. We've seen Riq Woolen is already on the trading block. That's because this team already feels like they have a player that can move into that nickel spot and keep Devon Witherspoon on the outside. I know this is going to be a bit of a bold take here, but in my eyes, Nick Emmanwori needs to be rotating in with Darian Kendrick at that nickel back position. My reasoning for this, There are certain matchups where it's better to go with Nick Emmanwori. If you're playing a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they're in a 12 personnel situation or even 11, and you need someone to be in man coverage on Cade Otton, Tumwater's finest, shout out the Thunderbirds, you need to have a big physical defensive player on him. If you are looking for someone to cover Emeka Ibuka, shout out Steelicum, Washington's finest as well. Hey, 2-2A greats. You need to have someone like Darian Kendrick on it. So don't be shocked if you see a little bit of a rotation between the two of them. I'm not saying that Nick Emmanwori has completely been Wally pipped and he's lost his spot. What I am saying is that Darian Kendrick's played too good to be left off of this playing roster and left off of getting significant playing time. Do you agree with my opinion? I want you to head down in the comment section. Do you think there should be a rotation? Should it be Darian Kendrick only? Should it be Nick Emmanwori only at that nickel spot? If you agree with me saying rotation, type Y for yes. If you disagree, type N for no. We're going to dive into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers injury issues, but before we do that, I need to tell you about today's proud sponsor, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which players are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and take your turn. Turn your takes into cash all season long. Now you can see from my photo, I have a 3-pick power play here. Jordan Mason, less than 73.5 rushing yards against the Browns. Daniel Jones, more than 224.5 passing yards against Las Vegas. And Jackson Dart, I'm buying into the hype, more than 183.5 passing yards. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now we're diving into the questionable players, or frankly, the players who are out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At the time of this recording, Bucky Irving is going in for an MRI on his ankle. Now, it does sound like there is a bit of concern in that Buccaneers locker room. You can take a look at this tweet right here from Rick Stroud, one of the beat reporters for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And there was a crew of players that were going in to get MRIs. Head coach Todd Bowles was concerned about these players. He was asked, hey, is Bucky Irving one of those guys, the star running back out of Oregon? He said, yes, he was one of those players. Right now, if he's unable to go, you're going to see a stark drop-off in that rushing attack for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and frankly, could be a huge plan of attack for your Seattle Seahawks. On the defensive side for the Buccaneers, Hassan Reddick, the star pass rusher on the edge for the Bucs, he left Sunday's game against the Eagles with a concussion. He got a little beat up, banged up in that one. We saw how long it took Jake Bobo to come back from his concussion. He ended up missing 2 weeks of football, including the very start to the season against the 49ers. I'm not saying that that's how long Reddick will be out, but that is something that we're going to want to keep an eye on, especially if it makes life a little bit easier for your tackles over in Seattle. Now, Mike Evans, I'm going to stand on the table and say, hey, he's out. He's been dealing with a hamstring strain. He's supposed to originally miss 3 to 4 weeks. Missed last week, so that would mean that he's still on pace to miss 2 to 3. That doesn't necessarily for sure guarantee that he's out, but in my eyes, I would say that he's not going to be able to go in this one. I would say that he is going to be out. Now, I want to look at the matchup for all of us to watch. This is where we go in. We find a position group in Seattle versus a position group with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we want to take advantage of. What group do we think for the Seahawks that they can dominate? And I'm looking right at this interior defensive line. Now, my reasoning for this interior defensive line pick is how they've been eating this year. Leonard Williams is playing at an all-pro level. It's a career year for him. Byron Murphy is performing at the peak of his powers. This is the same guy that you said was the best defensive lineman, almost best defensive player in his draft. He's playing like that right now. Jaron Reed has been just a consummate professional for your team. Jumping over to the edges now. DeMarcus Lawrence, he might not be able to go. That's okay. Derek Hall's been winning at a high rate. Boye Mafe has been winning at a historic rate when it comes to pass rush win sets. Uchenna Nwosu, he's back. 2 big sacks on Thursday night. Playing at the peak of his powers. He looks like he's 100% healthy for the first time in a long time. Why did I shout out these 2 position groups? Because they need to go get this guy. They need to go after Baker Mayfield. You need to get sacks against him. If Bucky Irving isn't able to go in this one, and Mike Evans is going to be out just like I think he is, that means Baker is going to have to play hero ball. That means that Baker Mayfield is going to have to be the reason why the Seattle Seahawks win this game, because they get to him consistently. They get him on the ground. They force him to create turnovers. You saw it against the Philadelphia Eagles. When the Eagles got to Baker Mayfield, when they were in the backfield, when they made his life difficult, he made mistakes. If the Seattle Seahawks are able to do that again to Baker Mayfield, you're going to win. If you let him sit back there and pass, I'm worried about what Tampa Bay is going to do to you. It's prediction time. I want you to let me know what your score predictions are down below in the comments. If they've got the good guys winning, I might give you a like. If you got the bad guys winning, I might give you a dislike. My score prediction for this one, I think it's a little bit more high scoring. You got some injuries on both sides of the football for both teams. I got your Seattle Seahawks with the victory, 28-24 over the Buccaneers. Now, this would be huge, put you at 4-1 on the season. I think Seattle's going to get that rushing attack going a little bit more downhill. I also think that defensively, you're going to be able to pin your ears back just a little bit more, try and get more sacks on Baker Mayfield, because you know he's the only one that's going to be able to hurt you in this one. Make sure that you go and give this video a big thumbs up, like the video, keep the streak alive, help your Seattle Seahawks get another victory and get to 4 wins in a row. Until next time, I'll see you later.